Welcome to Your Voice Dorset podcast. I'm Marilyn Barber and I'm talking to Rod Kennedy. Very warm welcome to our studio in Ferndown, Rod.
Thanks, Marilyn.
Now, you're an opera singer.
Was.
Yes, but you were. and of course, you're very much involved with Dorset Opera.
Yes.
But if I'd like to talk about your life as an opera singer, because I want to know how you started. I mean, were you this child at school who suddenly thought, I've got a voice?
No, I wasn't. I was, I suppose I was in the choir at school. But I had, in my very young days, been in Birmingham Cathedral Choir because I was born in Birmingham, something I never admit to.
Well, your accent doesn't give that away.
No, right. But no, Birmingham Cathedral Choir, my mother took me along there because she thought I did have a voice. And the youngest person in the choir was 9. But because I was on the larger side, height-wise,
Yes, absolutely, yes.
I was in. I mean, I sang well. I was in tune. I sang. The guy, the choir master, liked me. He said, yes, I want him in there. And she said, well, he's only 7. And
wow.
Yeah. And he said, but he looks 9. And that was the thing. And so I used to have to go in on a Tuesday. I think my mother would put me on the bus. The choir master would meet me at the other end in Birmingham outside the cathedral, take us in, do the choir practice, and we'd learn what we had to do for the service on the Sunday. And then he would put me back on the bus and my mother would meet me at the other end.
So you were definitely the youngest in the choir.
Definitely, yeah. Definitely.
So you would have had this very high voice.
Yes,
and
yes.
would have had no indication that it was going to change so dramatically.
None.
So how long did you stay in the choir?
Not long, because I got fed up with the bus journeys.
Oh,
and also, I wasn't a good sight reader, and I'm still not a good sight reader. I can learn something very quickly. I think this is what you find. People that can sight read music immediately, then they don't bother learning necessarily because they don't need to. You put the music in front of them and they just go blah, 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 blah. Whereas somebody like me that has to actually learn it, we take a little longer, but at the end, end of a couple of rehearsals, we've got it. That's it.
So that was the end of your choir days.
Yes.
So what was the next step then?
I did, down here in Bournemouth, I did in my secondary school.
So you moved to Bournemouth then? Yes.
Yeah. I was about 10. And I did sing in school choir. Yes. Somebody twisted my arm, I think.
Yes. And so what sort of voice did you have at that stage then?
I don't know. I presume it was still
an unbroken voice.
Yeah. I mean, I was about 11, I suppose, 12 at the time. But that was that, and that didn't last. But then, jumping forward a bit, I think my mother joined the Wessex Opera Company. She was...
They're probably still running.
I bet they are, or they're called something different. I don't think the Wessex Opera Company exists anymore, but there we are. But it was the only company locally that was doing grand opera, that was doing opera. Or, there were plenty of companies that were doing musicals.
Yes.
As there still are.
Yes.
But the Wessex, yes, it was a neighbour, actually, I think, said to my mother, why don't you come along? So
your mother could sing then?
Mum could sing.
So it's in the genes?
Sort of, yes. And I remember her telling the story of, she went to see Gigli, Beniamino Gigli, famous opera tenor of his day. And she went to see him at Birmingham Town Hall. And I remember her saying that if she had a child, she wanted it to be an opera singer.
Oh, really?
She wanted it to be a tenor, of course.
Yes, and I understand you're not a tenor.
No, I'm not.
No.
I've got a bit higher as I've got older and retired.
So when your voice broke, did you automatically, because you're a bass, aren't you?
Yes.
Did you automatically become a bass or?
Yeah, kind of.
Yes.
Yeah, it just, you just kept singing until you fell off the perch and then you could go higher and higher and maybe not as so yes, bass baritone basically.
So it must have been a bit of a shock to you really to suddenly have this really deep
voice. It's weird. I mean, it was one of the guys in the Wessex Opera Company that I quite admired. He was very good baritone actually. So I used to go home and sing his bits. I mean, I was only in the chorus, we were in the chorus of this thing. But they were all amateur singers, but some of them were really good. And I remember the first show my mother was in, one of my mates and I were out in Bournemouth, as you were in those days.
Yes, when it was safe to do so.
And it was in the days when the Palace Court Theatre was up and running and doing very well. Yeah. And we went up the alleyway at the side of it and heard this music going on. I said, that sounds quite good, doesn't it? And my mate said, yeah, what? As you do. And I said, shall we go and see it? And he said, yeah, all right. So I got a couple of tickets, or my mother got a couple of tickets for us, and we went on the Saturday and really enjoyed it.
And what was the opera?
And it was Marta by Flotto, German composer.
Was that something you'd heard of before?
Never.
No.
Never. And you won't hear of it much in this country as it is. Sometimes they do it in Germany, but it contained a lot of tunes that you would know, like The Last Rose of Summer.
Yes.
And
even I know that one.
Exactly, yes. And I don't know that Flotto wrote it, but it might have been an Irish folk song that he brought into that piece. There were a couple of things like that.
Had you enjoyed opera before this time?
No. I'd never been to an opera, I don't think.
Really?
No.
So you hadn't listened to it, so this was all totally new for you?
Totally new.
And you embraced it immediately?
Yes, kind of, yeah. But I do remember, because this chap and I enjoyed ourselves, we said, well, look, why don't we join the chorus,
He could sing as well, could he?
But we got a load of other mates. There were about half a dozen of us, I suppose. And we persuaded them that we were all going to do this.
Yes, it's because it's not the sort of thing young men naturally do, is it?
Absolutely not. But I think we might have already at that point been involved with Brownsea Open Air Theatre.
Yes.
And we all...
Which is still running, but not
on Brownsea.
Not on Brownsea.
No, I'm very disappointed. Hopefully it's going to come back, because the idea of actually going somewhere else to see a play in the open air, okay, but Brownsea just had that extra special something.
Yes, I think they're doing
the boat trip.
They're doing it at Camford School.
They are.
Yes. Yeah.
But it was the boat trip that made it special.
Yes. So you like theatre anyway?
Oh, I love theatre.
You've always loved theatre.
Always loved theatre. Loved scenery. I used to build, and that's what I started doing for Brownsea, was actually making scenery and actually painting it and putting it up over there. And I still take a great interest in theatre, set design.
Yes.
What have you.
So at what point did you think, I'm going to be an opera singer?
That would have been...
Because it's quite a grandiose ambition, isn't it?
Oh, God, yes. And I didn't think of it. Somebody suggested to me that I should have singing lessons.
Yes.
Once I joined this Wessex Opera
And you
Company.
have to, don't you, to be an opera singer? Yes.
Yeah. And so I went to this chap in Bournemouth who'd been recommended, and he said to me, look, you must go to the Guildhall School of Music.
Right.
I said, okay. And I think he'd obviously gone there. But
yes.
I'm not so sure he went for full-time course. I think he might have just gone on a Saturday morning or something. But anyway, he wanted me to go there.
And you
he
have
wanted
to be
me to go his teaching. Yes, absolutely. Yes. You audition, etc., etc. And what was I was in advertising at the time. So, I was earning some money. And so I must have left school at that point.
Yes.
And I do remember, yes, I did apply to Guildhall. I did get in. I didn't get to go with his teacher. And I was given another chap whose name I knew, actually. And he had been a very well-known tenor.
Right.
At Sadler's Wells, as it was in those days. And it was brilliant because I won't mention his name, but he took me on one side after about 4 months, I suppose. He said, now look, Boyle. Guess where he's from? Yes, he said, no, look, Boyle, I think you should. He said, I don't think I can teach you much.
Really?
I said, what? Yes, but he did. I don't think
you were a natural.
I was a natural, but also I needed to be polished, and I don't think he knew how to do it. Yes. He knew how to sing and get out there and do starring roles.
Yes,
but that was it. And he admitted that to me. He said, look, I suggest you go and get some work, go to this other teacher, go to him. He's good. And I said, well, what am I enjoying being with you? And because all he did was tell anecdotes anecdotes, and I have some wonderful anecdotes that he told. And he said, but you will still see me for the anecdotes, you know, boy.
But was it going to be a 3-year course?
It was.
It's 3 years, yes.
Yeah.
So you stayed with the course?
I didn't. No.
Off you went again.
I knew by then that all the basses and baritones of the day went to a teacher named Ottokar Kraus. And Ottokar was very well known. He'd been at Royal Opera House since the early 50s, I think, and sung all the major baritone roles, including Scarpia in Tosca, Iago in Otello, and he actually did the first performances. I think he was the first Tarquinius in The Rape of Lucretia, which was Benjamin Britten.
Right.
And he also did another Benjamin Britten where he did the premiere. And I'm forgetting what it was now.
So you went to him and so you didn't graduate from Guildhall then?
No.
So you didn't graduate from anything?
No.
I
failed.
But how did you get your first job?
Well, I was having these lessons with Ottokar, and I can't remember who it was. I said, I know. I think I'd been offered a place in the chorus at Covent Garden.
I guess you always have to start in the chorus, don't you?
No, you don't. Because one of the things they used to teach us at college, at Guildhall, for instance, was if you're going to do this course and if you're going to be aiming for a solo career, then you never join a chorus. Once you join a chorus, you never get out of it.
You're lost in it.
You're
right.
And that's rubbish, absolute rubbish. Because I went and auditioned.
You wanted to play the big roles.
Yeah, of course. Yes, that's the idea. But I went and auditioned. The chorus master was a chap called Robin Stapleton. The music director of the Royal Opera House then was Sir Colin Davis. And both of them were in my audition. And they offered me a place on the spot. And I think it was, I can't remember, 74, 75. Myself and a girl, a lady called Fiona Kim, who's made a very good career. And we had to learn the work for the following season. This was in the summer, you see, when everyone was on holiday.
Yes.
But we had to learn the stuff for the following year. The thing that we worked on mainly was Peter Grimes, which was pretty tricky for somebody that had never seen anything like it, because they were doing a prom. That was the first thing that the chorus and the Royal Opera were going to do. It was an Albert Hall prom in August or September when the proms are on. But we had to be in the chorus for that. And so we really were thrown in at the deep end. And it was just the two of us just singing these bits of chorus. It was really quite weird.
Yes.
But anyway, that got me in. And I think within weeks, literally weeks, they'd put up little notices on the board saying, if you'd like to audition for this role, then come and do so. Or this,
yes.
blah, 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 blah. And so I sort of, there were a couple of bass roles. And I thought, let's do it. And it may have been a cover, as we call it, understudy.
Yes.
In the theatre. Cover in opera. And it may have been a cover, but certainly we were in. And I was given a part. I think it was an usher or something, comes on and sings one line and that's it. But when you're singing it next to some very big names,
And tell me about the big names you sung with.
Oh, well, I sang with all the three great tenors, as we call them. So Pavarotti, Domingo, and Carreras.
Right.
And
were they scary?
No, not at all. Domingo was really very nice, but very wrapped up in himself.
Yes.
And, things have gone south as far as he's concerned now. But he is 87 or
and
something.
What about
He's still
Pavarotti?
singing. Pavarotti.
I wouldn't imagine he was the easiest of people.
He wasn't. Pavarotti, I remember him coming to rehearsals. It must have been Tosca. Tosca was the first thing I worked with him. And he always was not the same shirt, but the same colour shirt.
Right.
So it was always a dark blue shirt.
Right.
So you never knew whether it was clean or not.
No. But he probably thought he looked better in a dark blue
Probably
shirt.
did, yes,
A big
exactly.
man.
Yeah. No, but he was fine.
Yeah.
And, but you didn't sit down and have a conversation with him and pat him on the shoulder, it's that sort of thing. And he'd always sit in rehearsal and eat yogurt.
Really? Well, that sounds healthy.
Yes, absolutely. If you can get
But he
away
wasn't
with that.
hugely friendly then.
He wasn't hugely friendly, but, you had to admire him because of the three of them, his technique was fabulous. I mean, his was the best technique.
So you learnt from these people, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah.
And my lady friend at the time used to say to me, I can tell you've been working with so-and-so because you're starting to sing like him. So you'd pick, from other famous bases, you'd pick up the way they did things.
Yes. So have you played in the great roles, the great operatic roles?
I've played some great operatic roles, yes. But I mean, at Covent Garden, I did several big parts, big roles, but probably not the ones that you would think of. But I did my bit, as they say. I mean, I sang I think it was over 500 and something performances there over the years.
And you sing in other languages?
I sing in anything they throw at me.
How do you do that? Because you don't know that. I mean, do you speak any other languages?
Not really, not well.
How do you learn?
I speak French a little. I speak Italian a little. German I'm not good at, but I do understand German.
Yes.
And it comes from having to do so. If you're singing a different language, you've got to know not only what it means,
of course,
but also you need to be able to put the emotion into it. And
but do you learn it phonetically?
Yes, absolutely. Because they have
even harder than singing in English, isn't it?
Oh, it is. In a way, it is. But you have a coach in the rehearsal room. There's a German coach or a French coach or Italian coach, and they'll always come up to you, annoyingly, probably thousands of times, and just give you the same note all the time. You're still not putting that extra vowel in or whatever it is, or your double consonants. That was the thing we always used to get wrong. Double consonants.
Right, yes. Some languages with a lot of consonants and not many vowels.
Absolutely. But I mean, we do things in Czech and Russian.
Really?
Oh, yes. Gosh. Yeah. You've
got a different alphabet, so you can't see it written down.
No. In the Royal Opera House, they do everything in the original language.
Right.
So rather like we do at the Dorset Opera Festival.
Yes.
Everything's in the original language.
So you've toured the world, I take it, singing.
I have. Yes, absolutely. I mean, with Covent Garden, we started going abroad in, I think, 1979 or 76 or 79. Korea, Japan, often. Yeah. Oh, I know, La Scala Milan, we went. They've been now to Los Angeles and other places. But Korea and Japan is a regular.
Now, all that touring, it's not easy for a family life. No. And I understand you've got a family. Tell me about your family.
Oh, crumbs. How long have we got?
Well, no. I know you married Jane.
That's right, yes. And as you know, because we've talked about this before, you met Jane.
Yes.
Jane sadly passed away in 2002.
Yes.
And I think the children were... The youngest was 8, then the next one up was 12. And then you remember we had triplets.
Yes.
And they were 16 at the time.
So you had 5 children to bring up?
Yes.
And you were working?
I was trying to, yes. Yeah. I mean, I did have to take some time off. That was the problem.
Yes.
I could have, because people were saying to me, why don't you get a housekeeper? And I said, my children have already lost one parent.
Yes.
I don't want them to have to suffer. And it's very difficult getting the right person.
Yes.
To do that job.
So you got them to a better age to be able to leave.
Exactly.
Yes.
Well, and in fact, as the children were, as I say, triplets 16, it wasn't long before one of them actually was beginning to drive. And so brilliantly. She used to take them all into school,
Yes.
although they were at 3 different schools,
Yes.
4 actually.
So you were able to resume your singing career then?
Yes, I was.
When did have you retired as an opera singer?
As a singer, yes.
You have retired.
Yes.
When did you retire?
I suppose, gosh, where are we? I mean, when I took over Dorset Opera, it was in 2004. And our first season when I started was 2005. So it's 20 years ago this year.
Do you still sing?
No.
You don't even sing for your own pleasure?
There's no pleasure in it.
Now, for people...
Maybe in the bathroom, yes.
For people like me who don't really know much about opera, I think sometimes people are put off by the very essence of opera. Is there one particular one they should go and see first?
Oh, my God.
So that they're not so scared about it.
I always say go for something you've heard of. Like Carmen.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Carmen's
which
the
has
one.
been made a film of,
Yes.
so people know
absolutely.
the Torridor song.
It's all on YouTube. You can go and see full operas on YouTube. And but Carmen is a great one because you'll know the tunes.
Yes.
If there's something that's got a tune that you know, go and see that because it will take you on through the whole piece.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
And eventually you'll learn more tunes and so it will go on.
And I'm guessing there's some other operas where there would be tunes that people would recognise.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
I guarantee that in nearly every well-known opera, there'll be a tune that you can whistle.
Do you have a favourite?
Oh, good God. No, I don't think so. I mean, if I do, it'll be something weird like Wozzeck.
Right, okay.
By Berg. I know, that's really weird
I'm not
stuff.
sure many of our listeners would have heard of that
I
one,
don't think so, no. But I did that all around the world. It was great. Yeah.
So how did you come involved with Dorset Opera then? Tell me about that.
It was, my wife had died in 2002.
Yes.
And we had this great friend called Patrick Shelley who ran Dorset Opera. He was music director at Sherborne School.
Yes.
And sadly, he died in 2003, a year after my wife. I think it was a massive heart attack he had. And so later that year, a friend of mine who lived in the same village as us came and said to me...
Because you live in North Dorset, don't you?
Yes. We used to live in Witchhampton. That's been a few years since I was there. But he said to me, look, would you think of being chairman of Dorset Opera? Because that would suit us down to the ground, have someone like you.
And you have the huge experience.
Yes, but as chairman, you have no say in things, you know?
Right.
All you'll be doing is taking board meetings.
Yes, but you can influence a little, maybe.
So I said, no, I won't do that. Very arrogantly, I said, look, if you want me to, I'll take over. I will run the company. And so think about that and come and see me again. So they obviously did.
Yes.
Within 24 hours, he was back and said, yes, they'd like you to take over. So I did. I said, and I will find you a chairman. That was the other thing. I'm going to find you a chairman. I knew somebody, back in my mind, I had somebody in mind. And so I took that person out to lunch. He was a well-known Dorset businessman who loved music. And I don't mind mentioning his name, Alan Frost, who used to be head of Abbey Life.
Right.
And Alan agreed to my silly idea that he should chair the board, and we get new members on the board, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I had this plan for Dorset Opera.
So what's your role called then?
I'm the artistic director.
Artistic director, right.
But I'm sort of general director as well.
Yes.
Because, there's a lot of behind the scenes, especially now, because we've expanded so much, that it is a small but proper opera company.
Yes.
It's not a bunch of amateurs.
No. So you have festivals?
We have what we call the Dorset Opera Festival.
And when is
every
that?
July, last week in July.
Yeah, so that's coming up in the near future then. Yes.
Yeah. And
where does that take place?
Now, this is the thing, because that's what Alan and I did. They didn't want us anymore at Sherborne. So we went along and knocked on the door at Bryanston.
Yes.
And we moved to Bryanston. And this is our 20th year at Bryanston. And they've been wonderful to us because we everybody moves on site. So we get a chorus from all around the world. We get an orchestra and a professional orchestra, and we have well-known soloists. I mean, this is it. If you come to Dorset Opera Festival, you're going to see people that have huge careers. And, if you don't know their names, you certainly will do in the future. But, for last year, for instance, we did Madame Butterfly, which is something we thought we'd never do because it's got a very small chorus. And, but it fitted in well because of what else we were doing. Sorry, I'm banging the microphones. And we had a singer called Eri Nakamura, who, as you realize, is Japanese. And she had already sung the role at the Royal Opera House. And she'd sung it at the Canadian Opera, and she'd sung it all over the place. So this was a major star, and I was very lucky to get her. And I'm delighted to say that she enjoyed herself so much. She's coming back this year. And we also did last year, it was our 50th anniversary, so we commissioned an opera from the composer Paul Carr.
A brand new opera.
Yes. And
new operas still being written?
Oh, yes.
They are.
Oh, yes. Absolutely.
And will people go to see new operas, or do they really prefer to see one that they know?
There's that in it. There's a lot of people that will only go to something they know, something they've heard of.
Yes.
So last year we did this new opera, which was Under the Greenwood Tree, which you will probably know the title.
Yes.
There. It is Hardy, of course.
Yes. Well, that would go down very well in Dorset.
Yes, we tried to link Dorset to Dorset Opera to the fact that it was our anniversary. So, and we actually built, as we said at the time, we were going to build a whole village, a whole Dorset village on stage.
Wow.
And almost did, I think. It was brilliant. Actually, the set was
absolutely
wonderful.
Loved that.
Oh, they did.
Yes.
Absolutely. It was a very good set.
Dorset people are very proud of
You've
Dorset.
You've got a picture there, the front of that magazine there.
Yes.
That first picture is on stage.
Yes, which is...
it is absolutely great. And we've got this wonderful Dorset designer, sculptor called Rufus Martin, who is utterly brilliant. He's working all over the place, but he really enjoys working for us. And I think he's working on The Traitors at the moment in Scotland.
Oh, right. Yes.
He's the art director for that. And he also works for, he does Squid Games. Come across Squid Games?
No, not really.
You have, Luke, haven't you? Yes.
So what do people expect if they go along to Dorset Arts Festival? I mean, how long does it last? Is it a week-long thing?
It's only a week, but
it's a week.
We take about 18 days to put it all together.
Yes.
And the chorus, as I say, they come from all over the world. I think we've got about 7 people coming from the States this year and about 5 or 6 coming from Australia, and all the rest are from Europe or from Britain.
So they have to come, obviously, and rehearse with other people
they do.
Beforehand.
Yes, yeah. That's the chorus. So
yes.
We get the chorus there. We've got a phenomenal chorus master called Stephen Harris, he's worked everywhere, literally. He's in Norway at the moment. So it's a thrill to actually work with someone of that caliber.
Yes, and people do they book for a particular day? I mean, you say it's a week-long thing, so they could come every night.
When the performances are a week at the end of the rehearsal period. Yes. But I mean, we've got to get the chorus have to learn their parts beforehand. Then they rehearse with the soloists who come from everywhere.
Yes.
Then we do the dress rehearsal. Well, then the orchestra arrives, and then we have to do the orchestral rehearsals, and then the dress rehearsals, and then we go into performance week. And
so how long are the rehearsals beforehand?
Literally the whole thing from start to finish is 18 days.
That's not very much, is it?
It's crazy.
Yes.
Absolutely crazy.
Yes, I know professional actors, they only have a week or so beforehand, whereas amateurs have 6 months or whatever.
Yes, that's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's a very short period of time for people to work with each other if they didn't know each other beforehand.
Oh, yes. But that's what opera's like. You go into the first rehearsal and you just say, how do you do? I'm so-and-so.
Yes.
And that's it. You meet each other, and then probably there's half a dozen of you go out for lunch that day.
I mean,
because
you've got to hope they all get on well and you don't have giant egos. I mean, could that be a problem?
Of course you have giant egos.
Yeah. Did you have a giant ego in the day?
No. How can anyone say that?
But going back to Pavarotti, etc., I'm sure they had giant egos.
They do, yes.
If you fated by everybody, you're going to have, aren't you?
Absolutely.
So you have to hope that these people will get on well together.
Absolutely,
and you don't have people walking out in a strop or anything.
There are little strops every now and again. I can't tell you everything.
No.
But yes, people don't necessarily get on. And, you will ask someone to come back and they'll say, is so-and-so going to be there?
Yes, and then they don't want to. Yeah.
Well, yes, they are. In that case, I'm not coming this year.
Oh, right, yes. And what opera are you doing this year?
We're doing 3 operas this year. First of all, Rigoletto.
Yes.
Verdi, Rigoletto.
Yes, a familiar
one
name,
of his most famous operas.
Yes.
La Donna e Mobile and all that sort of thing.
Yes, well, I even know that one.
Exactly.
So, yes.
Yeah. And that's on one. That's 4 performances of that, and then we're doing as a double bill. We're doing Cavalleria Rusticana, which is Mascagni, and you'll know that. You'll know the Easter hymn. You'll know the intermezzo. Fabulous. And that's being paired with Suor Angelica, which is by Puccini. And it's a most magnificent piece. It's one of his best pieces of writing. And it's originally part of Il Trittico, which is like a triptych. And he wrote these 3 one-hour operas. Suor Angelica is one of them. Gianni Schicchi is a comedy, and that's often done on its own. And then Il Tabaro, Cloak. And not often are they all 3 done together because it becomes a very long evening. Because it's not only 3 hours of music, but you've got to then add the intervals and the set changes and all that sort of thing. So very rarely they run. Often you'll just get 2 of them. But my 2 are not even 2 Puccinis. It's 1 Puccini and 1 Mascagni.
So if somebody was coming along and they weren't particularly familiar with the opera, would it be a good idea to get a resume of the story?
Yes.
Which I always do with Shakespeare if I don't know a Shakespeare play. So you need to know the story, don't you? Really?
Ideally, yes.
If you're singing in another language.
Yes.
And are these all 3 in another
all 3
language?
in Italian, yes.
Right.
But we have surtitles, English surtitles. So.
Oh, do you?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
So that goes up on a screen then?
Yes,
So
that's above the stage.
So they don't need a resume then?
Not really, but it's good to know what the story is.
I mean, how long has that been happening?
Oh, the surtitles?
Yes.
Oh, since before I started working with them. Yes, absolutely.
So people aren't going to be put off by not having a clue what anybody's doing?
No, I wouldn't have thought so. And if they think they're going to be put off, don't worry, you're not. You'll know everything that's going on.
Yes.
You'll enjoy it. Do your bit of homework beforehand. Look up on YouTube.
Yes.
Look up an opera. Listen to just snippets of it. Don't listen to the whole thing necessarily. Yes. Because just look for the popular, ask YouTube to give you the most popular items.
Yes.
And then you'll go, oh, yes, I know that. Yeah. And it goes from there, basically.
What about the popularity of opera? Is it increasing in popularity or not?
Not in this country, sadly. I'm not. I shouldn't put my goods on the table, as it were. But
so, in which country is it the most popular?
Most major cities in Europe, for instance, have at least 3 opera companies. Most major cities. We have 2 in London. And the government and the Arts Council decided that they no longer wanted the English National Opera in London.
Right.
That's where Jane used to work.
Yes.
She was stage manager there. And so they are being moved to Manchester in 2029. There's a lot of disagreement and dismay about this because it's going to be very difficult for Manchester to provide an audience for that company every night of it's not going to be every night of the year, obviously, but it's going to be a lot more than it was.
And they'd have bigger audiences in London.
Yes. I mean, the Colosseum is one of the biggest theatres in London. The Colosseum next to the Palladium is the biggest theatre in London. It's huge. And they're still going to do a season at the Colosseum because they actually own the Colosseum. David Mellor, when he was Minister for the Arts, sold it to them for £1. Isn't that wonderful?
Wow.
That's great to have that in your gift. But no, it's just sad that we can only muster enough money for one company.
Yes.
That's the Royal Opera.
Yes, because opera isn't... I mean, how can you make opera more popular? I mean... Just
by providing it locally as we do.
Yes.
And it's only for a week or so.
Yes.
But it is very high quality. It's very, the quality of the orchestra is phenomenal. The soloists are brilliant and come from all over the place. They're very, very renowned. And, this year especially, we've chosen sort of very, very popular operas. And the answer is just come and see them. Come and see it. And you can come and bring a picnic.
Yeah.
You can buy a picnic from us.
It's not open air, though, is it?
No, it's not open air. But we do have marquees,
yes,
and little pavilions as well. People hire these pavilions.
Oh, do they? So it makes it a real event,
real party atmosphere.
Do they all dress up?
No.
Oh,
no, we don't. I mean,
not like Glyndebourne.
No. Because we asked our audiences what they preferred, and they didn't want to wear black tie.
No,
but our ushers wear black tie, so that differentiates them between them.
It's a great event. So if people want to book up, they just go onto your website.
Absolutely. And if they want to get dressed up, we're not going to stop them.
No. Can I just ask one more question?
Yes.
What does Dorset mean to you?
Oh, God. Home. It's home, basically.
Yes. I mean, because you weren't born here, but you've embraced it.
Exactly. Yeah. It's embraced me, actually. Yeah. But also, my children feel the same way about it, I'm sure. What can one say? But yes, it is great. But the great thing that we are doing, working with Dorset Opera, is working with young people, bringing them into the business. And a lot of our chorus are very, very young. When I say very young, they're over 18.
Yes.
But they are still at college, a lot of them, and just starting out in life.
It's good to encourage young
Absolutely.
talent.
And we also, I've got to get this one in. We also do £10 tickets for young people.
Oh.
So if anybody is listening and wants to come, then get in touch.
Yes.
And we'll let you have a £10 ticket under 26 years old.
Yes, I'm sure lots of people will take that up. Thank you very much, Rod Kennedy.
Not at all. Pleasure.